So good morning, everyone. I have with me Ananya Tamaskar, who has bagged All India Rank 3 in the recently conducted CLAT examination. And I think this is huge. This is extremely huge. I think the first word that I say, I mentioned him that this is insane. And I'm sure, Ananya, I would first want to know what was the immediate reaction the moment you saw the result? What was the knee jerk
Uh,
reaction over
Honestly, it didn't really register. I just went to my parents, told them
there?
I'm going to Bangalore. We didn't sleep that day.
Okay, okay. Okay. So, were you expecting a single digit rank? Was it anywhere in your, wildest of the dreams? Is I'm going to get this rank?
Extremely wild, yes. I am a
Okay.
dreamer by nature, I'd say. But
Mm-hmm.
very practically speaking, not really. Worst case
Mm-hmm.
scenario, I would never ever expect a single digit rank. So it simultaneously came as a dream come true and something I was working towards as well. So it was a surprise, but at the same time, I did want a single digit rank. So it
Mm-hmm.
was more fulfillment and satisfaction.
I'm sure the entire house must have gone wild. I'm sure you all were
Yeah.
there. The reactions must
Yes, I
be, I
mean,
think, very. Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
there's a lot of headline sharing and whatnot. So I've been
Right.
answering congratulations for the past, I think, two days now. But
So
yes,
I'm
it's
sure
a
you
bit
have
surreal.
earned this. Yes, yes, you have earned this. I'm sure you. This is the time you have to enjoy the glory of what you have achieved. Okay, and when even I got certain, when the CLAT result PDF came out, that 99.995. There's one person from Chhattisgarh. I'm getting queries from other states. Is this your student? And I was like, yes, this student is from Launcher. So let's in this conversation we'll also try and understand how your journey has been from where you started off. So, a very cliche question, but yes, how you actually thought of getting into law? What were your inspirations and ideas behind particularly pursuing this career?
For one, a lot of my family is already involved in law. My elder brother also appeared for the CLAT, and he is currently a fourth year in a national law university. So there is a certain inclination towards that field in the first place. Secondly, I sort of in the past few years I started gathering traction and interest regarding how things work, why the state functions, how it does, what
Mhm.
makes it operate the way it does. And I think law is a great introductory course to that, especially considering how the final dispute resolution in any civilized society is in a court and not via personal discussions. I mean, not considering alternate dispute resolution mechanisms, of course. So it's like
Okay.
a mix of interest
Mm-hmm. So
between
I know
how
there's
things
a
work
couple of,
and
I think, yeah,
sort of
there are a couple of
inclination.
family members in
Yeah.
the armed forces as well. So I'm sure that I think contributing
Yes.
towards
A lot of
nation
factors,
is
yes.
yes, 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 right. And Parth, of course, is one of the inspiration, I would say.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
definitely. I
So,
mean,
yeah, and I know that you have always been a reader. I know that from your mother, from Parth, and from yourself also that you've always been into reading. So, and this is a paper about reading. So reading substantially
right,
helps.
right.
But when is that you decided? Yes, I have to. Like, I'm sure that decision must have came after class 10, and that now I needed a structured way to pursue my exam, because reading was one thing, you were a reader, now you wanted a structured program to go through this particular exam. So tell us about
Right.
that.
So I started with gathering information from my seniors and peers regarding what I could expect from the examination. So I talked with a few seniors, and they explained to me how what sections the examination involved. I got the idea that and there were five sections. You had three reading sections, one for current affairs and one for quantitative techniques. Now, I was very apprehensive at first regarding the quantitative section because I'm not a natural at maths. I need to practice a lot, and I have to get a question wrong 10 times to get it correct, even a single time. So I first off started with strengthening my weakest section. At first, that was QT. So I picked up a few books. I practiced one-liners and moved on to caselets. And
Hmm.
I saw previous year question papers as well to see what I could expect from the actual examination and not just mocks. After quantitative techniques, I prioritized legal reasoning because I could gather that when deciding between ranks, the marks you get in the legal section matters the most. So if two people
True.
have the same number of marks in totality, the one with better marks in the legal reasoning section gets the upper rank. So in a situation where there could be a stalemate, that would help out quite a bit. And as for the rest was simple enough. Spend the least amount of time in current affairs section since it's mostly just what you know. There's no uh, interpretation involved. Usually, the past 2 years have been slightly different, but usually it's just information you have already gathered earlier. And I'm better with reading. I'm comfortable with long passages. So I attempted English and logical reasoning at the very end. So I started with legal reasoning. I could go over time with that. I didn't have to spend exactly 32 minutes because that being the most important section and the decisive factor between ranks, I had
Right.
to prioritize getting the maximum amount of accuracy in that section. And after that, I moved on to quantitative techniques since nearly everyone I talked to for guidance told me that that's just about the only section I could get a certain number of marks from. It
Hmm.
ranges from 12 to 15. They changed the pattern last summer, so uh, it got reduced a little bit, but those were 12 marks I could get for certain if I made sure that I attempted that section well enough. I moved on to GK from that, and it was recommended that I only spend like 5 to 10 minutes maximum. And but if I do know what the answer could be, maybe stretching it overboard is acceptable. Afterwards, English and logical reasoning in a flow because the questions don't vary very much. Sometimes you could also get strengthening, weakening arguments in English, and sometimes you could get questions regarding interpretation in logical reasoning.
Right. So, Anand, if I'm not wrong, you joined a classroom program right after class 10. So that means when you were entering into class 11.
Right.
Okay. So, what kind of foundation you build yourself in class 11th, and when you actually entered class 12? So, what was there a difference in approach when you were in the first year and when you were in class 12? Like, so was there a difference in approach in these two years? I would say.
Yes, definitely. So entering into this examination is slightly counterintuitive because there are a lot of biases even you don't know of when you start attempting questions. A lot of it, I joined the 2 year classroom program in the summer of 2023, and I realized that the way I approached arguments, the way I interpreted a certain passage uh, doesn't have to be so tangential, I'd say. It is what you see is what you get in a CLAT examination.
Right.
So it's just exactly what the passage says. Of course, that varies from examination to examination. I think legal reasoning changed in its scope quite a bit. We got questions outside the scope of the passage.
Right.
But generally, the passage is what you have to rely on entirely, and you don't have to keep any preconceived notions when it comes to approaching a certain question.
Okay.
So for that,
Um,
solving
hmm,
material and figuring out what you get incorrect, figuring out what your biases are is really important in the early stages.
okay. My question is again here, ki like you joined for a 2 year program. So 11th May, how many hours you were giving to CLAT while you were in 11th?
That
And
varied from time to time. If I had the time to do it at a stretch, I could go on as long as I wished. I think the maybe the maximum I did in 11th was about 5 to 6 hours, including all the sections. But
okay.
what you have to do when practicing is not dedicate a certain time, but decide what amount of questions you want to attempt, how
Hmm,
many assignments you want to cover. Just have a certain criteria for attempts rather than spending only a certain time at something. So
yeah.
I could
Because I
spend
wanted to,
for say yes. I could
yeah.
spend,
Because
say,
yes,
1 hour attempting 10 questions, or I could finish them within 15 minutes. So it's more about efficiency at that point.
right. Because a lot of time when people join a long-term program, they spend the first year in only kind of first year कहाँ निकल जाता है पता नहीं चलता. It's very important to consolidate or give a strong
Right.
foundation to your preparation in class 11 so that in 12th it is more about application and analyzing your mocks. So
Most
if I
definitely.
ask you,
Most definitely.
yes, how many mocks you would have written in this kind of 2 years kind of a duration?
Um, Not exaggerating, it's probably more than 100 or 150, maybe
Oh,
around the range of 200. I mean, it covers 2 years, so
okay,
that's a
right.
lot of mocks.
Right, right. So you went on and analyzed every mock, especially this year when it was your main attempt, because you did well last year also when you were in class 11. This year when it was your main attempt, so you made sure that you have analyzed each and every mock, because I think that's very
Yes,
important.
analysis is very important because sometimes mistakes can have a snowball effect. You make a mistake, if you don't correct it at the earliest opportunity available, it snowballs into something else, and there's a
Hmm,
cascading effect. You mess up at crucial moments. So it's necessary
yeah,
that you analyze the mocks at your earliest opportunity and ensure that you get your nuances corrected.
right. So again, reiterating what Ananya has said, it is extremely crucial and critical. It's not about just writing mocks; it's also about analyzing those mocks. So those who are still planning for CLAT and yet the class 11th or 12 students, when you listen to this, you need to know that if you're writing a mock for 2 hours, I think the 3-4 hours has to get into the analysis. Now, during this entire journey, Ananya, at any point did you felt any kind of challenges? Because there was a time, I guess, the GK was a concern. GK was becoming a
Right.
concern, and when we talked about that, you were doing well in all the four sections, but GK was kind of becoming a
Uh, right. I mean, there were times when I got single digit marks in GK, and not exactly something I'm proud of course. And I mean, yes, there were definitely challenges. At times, my performance was way below par to what I needed to get into like the top three institutions in India.
mm,
So, correcting my weaker sections was definitely a problem at some point because I
mhm,
was also the reason there's another reason I chose CLAT, and that is because I wanted to be involved in co-curricular, extracurricular activities alongside. And I felt that I would have to dedicate my entire time and being if I went into science to get a proper rank, say. So I
mm,
chose CLAT for that reason as well. So I was extensively involved in the student council at my school,
Right.
Krishna Public School, Dinda, for the past 2 years. In 11th grade as deputy head, and this year as head boy. So there were certain responsibilities and duties we had to fulfill. Sometimes I came up to the center attempting mocks in my school uniform.
Right.
Balancing that was also a certain issue. Sometimes I procrastinated quite a bit because
Mm.
I was making the same mistakes again and again despite having analyzed those and knowing where I could go wrong. So I went into mocks expecting that. I saw the questions. They were maybe, I don't know, framed in a different way. The options were slightly different, and I tended to make the same mistakes. And that was a problem at a certain point, but it's
Mm.
important that we don't let mocks affect us too much. It's more about mocks
True.
do mocks don't decide your future, but they do give a very good idea of what it could be. So
True.
while mocks are important, it's important not to get discouraged by poor results, I'd say.
Right. So that is something, while in month of October we had to tell you कि अनन्या तुम हो
Right.
गए, boy बन गए हो. अब last so मतलब your mom called me when I was on a vacation. I was like, ma'am, let me come back and then we'll have a discussion on this. So, but
Right.
I'm extremely glad. See, everything worked out well at the end.
Yeah,
Whatever
somehow.
apprehensions, yeah, somehow it is there. The proof is right there. The GK work, your experimentation strategy, which you always mentioned that I'm trying to experiment. Okay, so
Right.
it all
Mostly
worked.
because I guess 2020, CLAT 2024 was a real curveball. I attempted CLAT and the AILET in 11th grade because just to get an idea of
Hmm.
how to approach it at the actual examination center, what the procedures were. And
Hmm.
it was something like entirely different from what one had expected from a CLAT examination the years prior. I mean, GK was more of reading comprehension than having prior information at that point. So, and there were a lot of topics as well which don't come into the mainstream arena sometimes. And such as there was a certain question in AILET, if I remember correctly, something about a major gaming company acquisition. Microsoft Activision was the correct answer. So
Hmm.
it was you could expect everything and anything at the same time.
Right.
Only thing you can
Right.
expect is the unexpected with CLAT. So
True. This is a paper you
that I
cannot
have to
predict.
take that into considerations. Yeah,
Yes, yes, yes. I always maintain कि never try to judge this paper or never try to procrastinate anything about this paper. This could be anything could be unexpected in this paper. Okay,
right.
the way we saw, yes, the AR question, and we had discussion on that AR question, and you had your own logic to solve that.
It was, it wasn't exactly a hurdle. I could see how that would throw people off, especially considering how we went there with the notion that the only thing we'll get in logical reasoning is critical reasoning. But
Yeah,
since the arrangement questions usually aren't that challenging, and as far as the interpretation and actual arrangement went, it was fairly simple. The questions were the real problem, and I think we have had a lot of controversy surrounding that as well.
true, true. And I think three questions have been removed from that. So, Ananya,
Right.
now again coming back to your prep journey, according to you, like how does joining a program is helpful in terms of giving a structure, in terms of giving an environment to a student whenever they are looking forward for a competitive exam. How important is that?
Yeah, for one, we really need multiple perspectives when it comes to interpretation. Maybe you know what a passage is trying to say, you know exactly what information is being given, but the questions that are posed have a completely different perspective, and that entirely depends on how you see it from a different angle. And those different angles are what you understand from attending a certain program. You have extensive guidance. The faculty at Career Launcher was very thorough with giving us material, especially Pooja ma'am with her um, PDFs. Like we got waves of PDFs when approaching the actual examination, and that had a compilation of information. The legal faculty, they compiled important case laws and the current affairs that had occurred throughout the year, etc. So that also creates a support system. Perhaps if you're having psychological troubles, the faculty have dealt with that for years on end. They have experience with dealing with those problems. We always had an opportunity to approach our guides and our seniors, our teachers, whenever we had any problems. And I'm really grateful for that as well, so, to have such a solid support system.
That's good. That's good. So, two last things. So, how was your experience at Career Launcher Raipur over the last 2 years? Uh, we
It
had to pull you
was
in our functions. We had to literally pull you in functions. Yeah,
it was I'd say it was one of a kind. I really needed that experience at some point because I interacted with a lot of people that had different viewpoints, and that is important when approaching an examination such as this. It relies on viewpoints altogether. So that definitely we had social functions and gatherings
mm,
as well for certain refreshers. We joked around with our teachers. We made connections for the future, and I think that is really important in the field of law since connections are like I'd say 50 to 60% of your
true.
success in a legal career.
Right. And how, I'm sure since your brother, you mentioned your brother is in law school, so there that has been a support. But what kind
Right,
of
most definitely.
support system your family played in here? Because I think with every successful student, family support is what is
Right.
needed to keep you on the track, to keep you humble, and to keep you grounded as at times even, or to let you come back on the track whenever it is needed.
Uh,
So
for one, both of my parents are doctors, but they never ever forced me to go into a field I didn't want to go into. As long as I was serious about what I wanted to attempt, they gave me their entire support. My mother as well, she always had lofty expectations. At times, that could get a little frustrating that that there sort of couldn't be no real satisfaction with what I did, but it was incredibly important since it taught me to never aim low, always aim for the top. So and manage my efforts accordingly. And having someone at home who had already attempted the examination was also important since we had a common ground to talk about, someone who could understand what I had to perhaps go through, what I had to experience and deal with. And they'd already dealt with that many years prior. So that was also important for keeping a stable foundation throughout these 2 years.
okay, so any word of advice for the future aspirants
Uh,
who's
the only limitations you have are the ones you place upon yourself, and never compromise with your ideals. As long as you put in enough effort and have a certain degree of self-awareness, I believe achieving anything is always possible.
okay? So I'm sure with rank 3, it is Bangalore, and how excited are you are to be at that campus?
For one, it really hasn't settled in because I mean, preparing for the examination, there was a lot of talk about how it's the top institution, how I mean the best law school in India, etc., etc. So it's more of a surreal, I mean, experience, and I really don't know what to expect at this point. So I'm more curious than excited, to be very honest.
Right, right. I'm sure you're going to have one. Like I'm sure you're going to enjoy your time there, and
Yes, really.
it's a full 5 years out there, and there's a lot of knowledge, connections. There's a lot of experience to soak in from that particular place. And
Right.
we are as excited as you to see you part of, becoming a part of that prestigious law school. I think it's a moment of extreme privilege and proud for all of us
Thank you
here.
so much, ma'am.
Yeah. So on that note, thank you so much, Ananya, for giving us your time. And once again, a huge congratulations from all of us at Career Launcher.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and many thanks to Team Career Launcher as well for this opportunity.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All the
Thank you,
best,
ma'am.
finalists Bangalore.
Thank you.